And now, the Bible in a year. Day 4, Job 1 through 5. In the land of Uz, there was a blameless and upright man named Job, who feared God and avoided evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him, and he had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-donkeys, and a very large household, so that he was greater than anyone in the East. His sons used to take turns giving feasts, sending invitations to their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when each feast had run its course, Job would send for them and sanctify them, rising early and offering sacrifices for every one of them. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did this habitually. One day, when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, the Satan also came among them. The Lord said to the Satan, "Where have you been?" Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, "Roaming the earth and patrolling it." The Lord said to the Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil." The Satan answered the Lord and said, "Is it for nothing that Job is God-fearing? Have you not surrounded him and his family and all that he has with your protection? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his livestock are spread over the land. But now put forth your hand and touch all that he has, and surely he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to the Satan, "Very well, all that he has is in your power, only do not lay a hand on him." So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. One day, while his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the house of their oldest brother, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys grazing beside them, and the Sabaeans carried them off in a raid. They put the servants to the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another came and said, "God's fire has fallen from heaven and struck the sheep and the servants and consumed them. I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 columns, seized the camels, carried them off, and put the servants to the sword. I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another came and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the house of their oldest brother." And suddenly a great wind came from across the desert and smashed the 4 corners of the house. It fell upon the young people, and they died. I alone have escaped to tell you. Then Job arose and tore his cloak and cut off his hair, and he fell to the ground and worshipped. He said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I go back there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this Job did not sin, nor did he charge God with wrong. One day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, the Satan also came with them. The Lord said to the Satan, "Where have you been?" Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, "Roaming the earth and patrolling it." The Lord said to the Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil. He still holds fast to his innocence, although you incited me against him to ruin him for nothing." The Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin, all that a man has he will give for his life. But put forth your hand and touch his bone and flesh, then surely he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to the Satan, "He is in your power, only spare his life." So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with severe boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. He took a potsherd to scrape himself, and he sat among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still holding to your innocence? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as foolish women do. We accept good things from God. Should we not accept evil?" Though through all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Now when 3 of Job's friends heard of all this misfortune that had come upon him, they set out each one from his own place: Eliphaz the Teman, Bildad from Shu, and Zophar from Naamath. They met and journeyed together to give him sympathy and comfort. But when at a distance they lifted up their eyes and did not recognize him, they began to weep aloud. They tore their cloaks and threw dust in the air over their heads. Then they sat down upon the ground with him 7 days and 7 nights, but none of them spoke a word to him, for they saw how great was his suffering. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Job spoke out and said, "Perish the day on which I was born, the night when they said, 'The child is a boy.' May that day be darkness. May God above not care for it. May light not shine on it. May darkness and gloom claim it. Clouds settle upon it. Blackness of day affright it. May obscurity seize that night. May it not be counted among the days of the year, nor enter the number of the months. May that night be barren. Let no joyful outcry greet it. Let them curse it who curse the sea, those skilled at disturbing Leviathan. May the stars of its twilight be darkened. May it look for daylight, but have none, nor gaze on the eyes of the dawn, because it did not keep shut the doors of the womb to shield my eyes from trouble. Why did I not die at birth, come forth from the womb and expire? Why did knees receive me, or breasts nurse me? For then I should have lain down and been tranquil. Had I slept, I should then have been at rest, with kings and counselors of the earth who rebuilt what were ruins, or with princes who had gold and filled their houses with silver. Or why was I not buried away like a stillborn child, like babies that have never seen the light? There where the wicked cease from troubling, there the weary are at rest, the captives are at ease together, and hear no overseer's voice. Small and great are there. The servant is free from the master. Why is light given to the toilers, life to the bitter in spirit? They wait for death, and it does not come. They search for it more than from hidden treasures. They rejoice in it exultingly. They are glad when they find the grave. A man whose path is hidden from him, one whom God has hemmed in. For to me sighing comes more readily than food. My groans well forth like water. For what I feared overtakes me, and what I dreaded comes upon me. I have no peace nor ease. I have no rest, for trouble has come. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, "If someone attempts a word with you, would you mind? How can anyone refrain from speaking? Look, you have instructed many, and made firm their feeble hands. Your words have upheld the stumbler. You have strengthened faltering knees. But now that it comes to you, you are impatient. When it touches you, you are dismayed. Is not your piety a source of confidence, and your integrity of life your hope? Reflect now, what innocent person perishes? Where are the upright destroyed? As I see it, those who plow mischief and sow trouble will reap them. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his wrath they are consumed. Though the lion roars, though the king of beasts cries out, yet the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered. A word was stealthily brought to me. My ear caught a whisper of it. In my thoughts, during visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on mortals, fear came upon me, and shuddering that terrified me to the bone. Then a spirit passed before me, and the hair of my body stood on end. It paused, but its likeness I could not recognize. A figure was before my eyes. In silence I heard a voice. Can anyone be more in the right than God? Can mortals be more blameless than their Maker? Look, he puts no trust in his servants. Even when with his messengers he finds fault. How much more with those who dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed more easily than a moth. Morning or evening they may be shattered. Unnoticed, they perish forever. The pegs of their tents are plucked up. They die without knowing wisdom.